Start talking.
Hi guys, this is your week 5 warm-up. I just wanted you guys to come back with a little bit of a refresher. This is not counted, but I hope that it helps you guys just remember some vocabulary that we have been talking about, because we are going to start continuing to use some of these features and characteristics moving forward. All right, so this is where we were about now 2-3 weeks ago because of spring break. So I'm giving you the graph, and since I'm not grading this, and it's really just a self-check, once I ask the question, pause the video, see if you get the come up with the right answer or what you think the answer is going to be, then unpause and see if you're right, and then rinse and repeat. Pause after I finish the question and then unpause, see if you got the answer correct. All right, so consider the graph shown. Letter A. Is the A value of this function positive or negative? So again, pause your video, see if it state if your answer is positive or negative, and then unpause to see what the right answer would be. Okay, so the answer is going to be positive because it ends positive. All right, so the A value of this function is positive because the graph ends positive. So that is going to be our answer. Ends positive. That's why. All right, let me make this a little bit thinner so you know. All right, so letter B. Is the degree of this function even or odd? Again, pause the video. Okay, the correct answer is that this function is odd. It is odd because it ends in opposite direction. So that's how you know if a function has a degree that is odd. It ends in different directions. All right, letter C. Can this function be a cubic function? Explain why or why not. Again, pause the video. All right, to answer this, you need to understand that a cubic function is raised to the third power. All right, let's try that again. Cubic function is raised to the third power. So remember, the power tells you the amount of zeros that this function would have. So because it's a cubic function, that means it should have 3 zeros or 3 roots or a total of 3. All right, so this function cannot be cubic because, well, let's count the x-intercept. This goes through, so that's 1. This bounces right here. Let me, instead of making zeros, make a dot. So that's 1 solution. Here it bounces, so that means that's 2 solutions. Here it crosses, so that means that's 1 solution. Here it crosses, 1 solution. So if we add up all our x-intercepts, that's 1, that's 3, 4, 5. This means that this is raised to the 5th root. So that is the highest degree because that is the number of x-intercepts that is on there. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, erase this part. So that is what our answer would be for that. All right, so letter D, state the domain of this function. The answer is all real numbers. Again, what is the lowest x value? We don't know because this ends in negative infinity. So as the x values continue to go to negative infinity, the y values continue to go to negative infinity. All right, on the right-hand side, again, as the x values continue to go to positive infinity, your y values also continue to go to y values continue to go to infinity. All right, so your domain is all real numbers. Okay. All right. Letter E, state the range of this function. The answer is all real numbers. Okay, so again, our y values continue to go to negative infinity, so we don't know what the lowest y value is going to be, and your y values on the right hand side continue to go to positive infinity. We don't know what the highest y value is going to be, so your range is all real numbers. Letter F, determine the number of relative extrema in this graph. So extrema includes both max and min. So relative maximums, relative minimums. All right. So I'll give you a second. I'll pause the video. All right, so the answer is, and I'm going to highlight it as I go. So for the relative max, so obviously we're looking at maximum points. So here is a max, here's a max. All right, so how do you know the difference between relative and absolute? If it is not the absolute maximum value, then it is a relative. All right, so because this graph continues to go on the right hand side, you're going to have y values greater than these two. So that means these are relative maximums. So here, how many do we have? Well, we have 2. Okay. All right. Relative minimums. All right. So relative minimums. I'm just going to circle all of the minimum points. Okay. So again, looking at the left-hand side, well, this tells you that your graph's going to continue to go less than, tends to negative infinity. So these minimum values are relative because they are not the absolute minimum value since your graph continues on. All right, so the relative mins is also 2 in this graph. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and erase what we drew here. All right, so letter G, determine the number of absolute extremas, again, max and min, on the graph. Go ahead and pause the video. The answer here, again, relative absolute max, you have to look for the absolute point. So because on the right hand side this graph continues to go to positive infinity, there is no maximum point that we can state because it goes to positive infinity. So is there an absolute max? None. There is none. All right. So similar with the absolute minimum. So is there an absolute minimum point that you can tell me? No, because on the left-hand side, it continues to go to negative infinity. So there is none or no absolute minimums, right? And last but not least, letter H. State the intervals where the graphs are increasing, or intervals because there may be more than one. All right, so take a moment, pause the video. I'm going to go ahead and erase that. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight this for you guys so you can see where it's increasing. So again, increasing means that it's going up. All right. Ooh, that might be a little too big. All right, so from left to right, it should be going up. So from here to here, it's going up. From here to here, it's going up. So from left to right, it should be going up. So from here to here, it's also increasing. It's going up from left to right. All right, so the intervals, we're going to write it in interval notation. So it's coming from negative infinity. Okay, so we're writing our intervals. Again, intervals are based off of your x values. Okay, your x values. So what is the lowest x value that you are showing here on this first blue highlight? Well, negative infinity. Again, it's an open circle because we cannot tell what the exact number is for infinity. Okay, and then it keeps going and it keeps going, and then it hits this point right here. So that x value, if we bring it on down, that x value is between -2 and -3. So for the sake of our lives, we're just going to name that -2.5. And are we including -2.5? Well, if you take a look at that point is also it's the turning point. It's the highest point from its increase, but it's also the starting point of a decreasing interval. So what's great about intervals that are increasing and decreasing, especially in a smooth graph, is that they're all going to be open circles or open parentheses. All right, you can't include a number that is also going to be decreasing. So that's why we do not include that point. So at that point, it has to be one or the other. It can't be both. So at that particular point, it's an increasing point, but also a decreasing point. So we do not include it. All right. So we're just going to continue. So this point starts at -1 and it goes all the way up to over here. It's past 0. All right, so again, for the sake of our souls, we're just going to name that, ooh, it's positive. That's a positive. All right, we don't need to put a positive sign. It's positive. All right, we're going to make that a half. All right, so, all right, we're going to keep going. So this point right here, it is less than a half. Okay, so we're just going to make it a quarter. So that's 2 1/4, comma, and then it's going all the way up to positive infinity. Ooh, the infinity sign was bad. All right, and there we go. So hopefully this warm-up just gave you quick little reminders of your characteristics, domain range, some verbiage, some vocabulary. All right, have a good day, guys. Bye.